Have it in people's eyes. So we're going to go here. And we're going to go here. Instagram's letting me know that we are live there. And we're going to go on Facebook's a little farther behind on this group thing here. Okay. Double check the sound. There's our thing. And we are not there yet. Even though we are. There we are. Okay. There we go. We are good to go, my friend. And I'm going to get an YouTube just to make sure. We are live on YouTube over here also. And we should be live right now over here, coming live. We are live. There we are. Good stuff, right?
We are well outside my tech comfort zone right now.
You ready, my friend?
Ready to go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Team Powerhouse Show, live with you every Tuesday night. And tonight is a very special night because we have a very special guest with us here today. His name is Mr. Dan Sparks. He's at an amazing organization called Honor Flight CT. And there's a lot of things to talk about today. So first of all, thank you so much for being part of our show today. Thank you, Connecticut, America, and the world who's watching. If you have anybody in your family who's been a veteran, somebody who served in the wars of our past, this might be hitting home for you and something very important to listen to and watch to and share with your friends and family. So let's start with the man, the myth, the legend, Dan Sparks. Thank you again for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Dave. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I want to thank your family as well for allowing you to be here this evening. Not sure if your family is watching. Hopefully they are. You want to give a shout out to anybody, family, wife, kids?
The only shout out I'll give is to those who have served and sacrificed for this country. If you have served in any capacity, and we can even throw first responders into this, we appreciate you. We thank you. And we sleep easy at night knowing that you've got our six and you've defended everything that's good in the world. And we appreciate you.
Amen. Amen. Absolutely. All right, Dan. So let's talk about this amazing organization you have. What is Honor Flight CT and how did it all begin?
Well, the Honor Flight Network began in 2004 with the completion of the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. on the Mall. At the time, a physician's assistant who was a retired Air Force captain who was working in the VA hospital in Springfield, Ohio, was talking to his patients, of which a lot of them were World War II vets at the time, asking them if they'd been to the memorial or if they have plans to go down to the memorial, and they didn't. So he's a hobby pilot of a small private plane, and he enlisted the help of 5 of his friends. And in 2005, first flight, 6 small planes, 2 veterans per plane for 12 total. So was born the Honor Flight Network out of Springfield, Ohio. We are now at 130 hubs nationwide.
That's amazing.
All doing very similar things, pulling the rope in the same direction with the common goal of honoring those who have served and sacrificed for us.
It's unbelievable. It's such a special thing. In this country, more than ever before, we need to remember and we need to say thank you and we need to give back. And for what you do and the time you spend and how much, because what you're doing is not just something so simple. There is a lot of moving parts to make this happen. And it is really very special. Why is this day so special for veterans?
When you look at the population that we serve, which is primarily World War II, Korea, and Vietnam veterans, when they came back from their service overseas, there were no ticker tape parades. There were no celebrations. There were no hearty handshakes and gratitude from the public. And they defended everything that we believe and everything that we hold holy to us. And many of them not only didn't get the appreciation that they earned and deserve, quite the adverse, actually.
Absolutely.
So we have dedicated. It's a commitment. It's a passion. It's a borderline obsession on the part of me and my team to honor those who deserve it and have waited, in our opinion, far too long for it.
It's again, I think about when you meet somebody who's been a veteran and what they've done for this country, why we have the freedoms we have today. We teach our children of those who have military members in the family. It becomes a natural conversation, but there's so many people out there that have no connection, don't understand, don't have that even feeling in their heart, mind, and soul to understand what kind of commitment. I mean, there wasn't an option. That was it. They went, they served, and they protected, and they gave us what we have today. Who qualifies for this trip?
Well, technically, any veteran who has served in the United States military is eligible. We consider everybody kind of as an individual. But by charter, we fly veterans of foreign wars to DC to reflect at their memorials and spend time at the memorials dedicated to their service and sacrifice. And because of that, the priority go to those who have a memorial in DC, which is World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. If there's extenuating circumstances where there's a reason to take somebody who's an Afghani vet or a Desert Storm or anywhere in between, current and the past, we will consider them as an individual. Every veteran deserves our appreciation. Every veteran deserves their day of honor, and every veteran deserves the in many cases long overdue thanks and appreciation that they earned and deserve. So every application, every veteran is its own consideration and conversation.
And qualifying for the trip, like as far as who qualifies, and you just mentioned, I have some questions over here I'm jumping into, but you basically said anybody who served, and that's amazing. Do you bring caretakers for those who may need assistance? I mean, that might be something where it's especially the ages of these people that are. I mean, what's the average? Let's go to the average age group that you have, and then the caretakers with them.
Well, when Honor Flight first started, it was primarily World War II. It was entirely World War II. And our first flight when we incorporated in 2019 was 100% World War II. 24 World War II veterans on that plane.
I can't even imagine the first time you took this trip and what you planned.
It's turned into an obsession. It's I drank the punch, so to say.
The Kool-Aid.
The Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't call it Kool-Aid. I would call it bourbon. I would say you drink the bourbon in this case here.
Yeah, there's so much to it, and there's so I'll address the caretakers. The average age of the population has come down a little bit as we deal with the natural attrition and the mortality of the World War II population in Korea, and we're pretty heavily into Vietnam right now. This current flight we have coming up on September 27th, I believe, is 66 veterans, 2 World War IIs, 5 Korea, and the rest is all Vietnam.
Wow.
So everybody's invited. Every veteran is invited to bring a companion, a guardian, a caretaker with them, depending on who we're talking to and the age of the veteran. We call it something different. So a lot of folks don't like to think they need a guardian.
Right.
Okay, so it's a companion.
Right.
Bring somebody to share the day with.
Right.
We also bring a wheelchair for every veteran.
Oh, wow.
Even those who don't need it and don't want it, at the end of a very long day, coming back to the airport, it's...
I want to get into kind of what a day looks like with that, but we'll get towards at the end of kind of like what the process is like. Where do you visit in DC? And you kind of been talking about this a little bit as far as the different memorials go. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things happening. How long is the trip, by the way, too?
It's a one-day trip, down and back same day.
Wow.
We fly out bright and early, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and we land back at Bradley at about 11:30, midnight that same day.
That's a impactful day.
It's a long day. It's a very long day for me at near 50 years of age. Imagine being our last flight. We had a 103-year-old who outlasted me.
No kidding.
There was no quit in him. There was no sitting in a wheelchair. And
wow.
He was
full of piss and vinegar.
He was. I don't know where the energy came from, but he had more than me and more than twice my age.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how often do you fly?
Twice a year. We do a spring and a fall flight. Down in DC, winters are still cold. Summers are still very hot.
Yes.
Early May and early October, late September seem to be our best times.
I would say that sounds like a healthy time to go. It's not too hot, but it's nice and sunny out. Although some Mays can be like 90 degrees summer hot. What they call that? and then you could end up in, like you said, October, and you could end up like how beautiful the weather's been the last couple of days over here. I mean, like, it's unbelievable, right?
It's been great.
Yeah.
Our last flight in May of this year, we went down 65 veterans, 135 total travelers. It was supposed to rain all day, and we got down there, and we luckily avoided the rain,
Wow.
but got hit with about 93 and humid.
That's how like, unexpected, right? Like
Yeah.
that. Oh, and then June, it rained the whole month of June.
Yeah, and we had some dehydrations, and we
Yeah.
had some. You got to remember to drink your water.
Right, right. Eat and drink,
That's it.
right? Have the energy to run around as you're doing.
That's right.
How is this funded? I mean, like, it's got to take a lot.
Yeah, so veterans travel completely free of charge. Guardians pay their own way. It's currently $350 for the Guardians or companions, and that's their airfare and their share of the buses and their meals down in DC. Veterans, we fundraise for. We've had some folks who have been very generous with us in the last few years, and have afforded us the luxury of going bigger and broader than we ever thought we would be able to do.
Wow.
And to those listening, maybe from a corporate background or those who want to support Honor Flight Connecticut, every dollar donated to us, we commit to spend on veterans of foreign wars, and every dollar you donate will be used to honor and thank a veteran who deserves our honor and appreciation.
What a great way to really give back as far as making donations go. I mean, especially if you're from Connecticut and you've got somebody you know that was close to your heart, you can relate to this. And even if not, I wouldn't be surprised if the people in the, I'll call it, fire and rescue and police are very involved emotionally and tied to you. And if not, they really should be, but I'm assuming they are in that category when it comes to military too.
Of course. I mean, there's a tremendous overlap between
Yeah.
first responders and military,
Yeah.
and those who seek to defend and those who seek to help those who need the help. Tremendous overlap. But I want to back up a minute if we could, because you
Yes.
asked me a question I don't think I answered, and that's where do you go down in DC?
Yes.
And there's some flexibility to that answer, and I'll explain.
You're not bar hopping.
We're not bar hopping. It's an alcohol-free day. But we go to the mandatory stops that we hit every time are Arlington National Cemetery to see the changing of the guard.
That's so cool.
We go down to the World War II Memorial, Korea, and Vietnam. And then depending on who's on board, we kind of shift on the fly as we're down there. If we have CBs on board, we'll drive past the CB Memorial.
Oh, wow.
Marine Memorial, Air Force
Can
Memorial.
you tell people what a CB memorial is?
Memorial to the CBs in the Navy. The CBs are the handymen, the handymen of the Navy who built and assembled and got there before everybody else to put together somewhere for those who are either the boots on the ground or wherever they may be to have a place to reside and call home overseas.
That's awesome. I mean, I can't even imagine the emotional. I mean, the people who are going on this trip, and maybe their first time ever. By the way, does it have to be their first time? It doesn't have to be their first time.
One time only. It's a once in a lifetime trip.
But if they've been there before, they can still go on this trip.
Sure.
Okay.
You can just only go on one honor flight in your lifetime.
So here you got a group of people who are all from a certain type of time in their life that all have somehow emotionally related and went through something together. And I can't even imagine where their minds are in the process of this trip, especially if it's their first time to be there. I don't know if you have like some kind of donation, some tissue, because I mean, that's got to be very emotional for not only people flying, but even just to see, look in the eyes of these people who are walking through this place, who are going through a little bit of history in their minds of what they went through. It's got to be levels deep.
That's a tremendous part of the day. The public reaction to a group of 135 folks all wearing honor flight shirts walking through either the airport or walking into the World War II Memorial, or the fanfare, the clapping, the appreciation, the hugging. Everywhere we go is is noteworthy, and we're treated like kings and queens as our population should be, and haven't been in the past.
Amen.
You know,
Amen.
right now, you look at 2025, patriotism is popular. It's prevalent. In
Finally.
1973, it wasn't.
Right.
And when we had Vietnam veterans coming back, and you can call Korea the Forgotten War, and World War II did not come back to fanfare. So let's connect those two generations. Let's connect those dots on fanfare and appreciation and love for what they did for us. And you don't have to subscribe to war and be a proponent of war, but you are a proponent of sleeping peacefully at night and the safety and the cover that our country provides for us. And this is all connecting those dots.
Absolutely, 100%. I just want to make sure with questions coming through, I'm not going to miss anything. We get a lot of times questions I get yelled at because we're let's see. I got over here. I see one from. Hold on, I'm gonna go live over here just to see it because otherwise I'll miss it and then I'll get yelled at. Hold on one second. I see a couple of things over here coming through from Facebook. I just saw something here. I see. Let's see. Jerry Butch Aldrich can't see honor flight session. I'm guessing he's missing something. I'm not sure what that means. Jerry, I apologize if when you put that out there, you can't see honor flight session. I don't know what that meant. Sometimes you get these questions.
Sure, he's one of our past honorees.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's a past traveler for us.
So it says can't see honor flight session. I'm not sure what that meant by that. But it's good that he's watching. And Jerry, if you have anything you want to say to Dan over here or about your experience, please. I'd love to hear from you and see what you're saying over here. My apologies for the confusion on our side over here. I got Bert Rizzuti over here giving us a thumbs up on Facebook as well. Thank you so much, Bert. There's going to be a lot of follow through as things come on. I know the show is going to go on and it's going to come off, and then people are going to be commenting and this and that kind of stuff. If people, by the way, while we're doing this on social media, if they want to get in touch with you or get in touch with the program, how do they do that? What is the best way for them to reach you?
The best way to reach us is either on our Facebook page, which you go to Facebook, you just search Honor Flight CT or Honor Flight Connecticut, will pop up.
Okay.
Or via our website, honorflightct.org. And that's where we house our applications. If by chance there's a potential traveler of ours or an honoree looking to take part in the Honor Flight experience.
Awesome.
And of course, donor links if somebody's inclined to donate to our cause.
And it's important about the donor links and cause and making donations to this great organization. And we're going to get a little more into that to the end. But like, if you own a company, if you don't own a company, if you want to make a donation, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you for that as well?
That's via our website. There is a donation link, and we link to PayPal. There's a donor form if you wanted to send a physical check. Venmo's on there. We're fairly modern.
And go and the website for that again is please
honorflightct.org.
honorflightct.org. Okay. Do you fly commercial airlines?
We have, and we will again. But I mentioned earlier that we've had some very generous donors that have afforded us to go bigger and broader. And the long and short of it is, the last flight as well as this flight is a private charter. On an Airbus 320, so we got 135 seats on the plane, and we can only afford to do that because of the generosity of our donors, both corporate and individual.
It's amazing,
and they've been good to us. But it also, flying private on a charter gives us more control over the day. When we fly, and Southwest has been very good to us in the past. When we fly commercial, you're at the mercy of their times.
Right.
So if they don't want to fly out till 10 in the morning out of Bradley and they want to come back at 8 p.m., we don't have a lot of time on the ground down there. We feel like we're running from memorial to memorial and rushing a population that we feel shouldn't be rushed. They should have time to reflect.
And how fast can they move to begin with to be fair and reasonable about being rushing? And what if you go and you get your flight at X time and then now it gets delayed, the flight gets delayed, and now it's a problem, the whole day gets ruined.
Right.
So it makes complete sense what we're talking about over here. Can you share what honor flight experience looks like for a veteran from the moment they are chosen until the day of the trip? I mean, like getting that phone call. I mean, you have a veteran who's been chosen. I mean, it's like winning the lottery. I mean, that's pretty amazing stuff.
We like to think so.
I would definitely think so. I think it's something very special on many levels. So give us a day in the, I'm sorry, you get the phone call. Who's making the phone call?
Our veteran coordinator makes the phone call. She's in charge of selection of veterans and who goes when, if you're getting on this flight or the next flight. And that's to some extent chronological when we receive the application. We do have a prioritization that we keep kind of close to the vest, but to share it here, its priorities are chronological by conflict. So a World War II veteran will always go first, followed by Korea, followed by Vietnam.
And also the age of the person who was in World War II. Obviously, I don't want to say it the wrong way, because I mean, as you mentioned in a nice way you put about, times in life and things, and World War II is, how old is a person who's going from World War II coming to see you and be a part of this trip?
Upper 90s.
Right. I mean, the fact that
on the young end.
Right. So the fact that a World War II veteran has the ability in the 90s to take a trip to go see and have this experience. I'm guessing it goes from the 90s to the,
on average, call it mid 90s to low hundreds is World War II. On average, Korea is about 5 years behind them. There's a lot of overlap between those two. We see a lot of folks who served in both conflicts. We have one coming on this next flight that I love to call a trifecta. We've only had one of those before, which is a veteran of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
No kidding.
Loved it so much, loved the country so much, continued to fight for it and everything he believed in, which is just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Let's see. What kind of impact do these flights have on the veterans who go to Washington, D.C.?
I think that's very individual and it's very situational. There's a lot who are stoic and they'll go to the wall and they might, the Vietnam Wall I referenced, they might scratch off a name and they keep it kind of close to the vest. And there's some who come back and tell us it's the greatest day of their life. And we promise not to tell their wives or kids that it was better than their wedding day or the birth of their kids. But
right. I mean,
I tell you what, I don't want to sound morbid, but I have a little bit of a litmus test. And it's kind of the how are we doing type test. And in 2024, we made our way into 5 obituaries of past travelers who have passed. And the last line of the obituary said, "In lieu of flowers, please consider a donation to Honor Flight Connecticut."
That's amazing.
And I don't want to make it sound morbid, but I think that tells our team how much we touched somebody.
It left such an impact on not only the veteran, but the veteran's family, who got to be able to see their family member have that special moment in their life that they never had before.
Right.
I'm trying not to get too emotional here, which is very hard, because just thinking about having someone in my family who would have served and had a chance to go experience this situation, and having not just gone through, but having the support and being around fellow people who served and having that connection, because it's the emotional level of that person who served, locking arms with people next to them who served in that same war, and they may have never met. Have you ever had anybody, by the way, who met for the first time? I'm just curious, in this experience, that they're like, oh my God, I didn't even, and they connected to the people from the war? Is that?
I don't know if they've connected to other folks from the war. Most of the veteran community in Connecticut, whether it be through the Legions or the VFWs or Ron Welch's team over at who's the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs, does a good job of getting veterans together. So most of them have attended the same events prior to going on our flight, or at least through their VFW hall or the Legion. But we've had great spirited conversation on the buses down there between the veterans. Different branches, different conflicts, different backgrounds, different socioeconomics, everything.
Right.
But we get in the moment, and everybody on our team is pulling the rope in the same direction. It's all about appreciation and fondness for them and what they did. But it's funny, I'll bring up, and it was relative to one of your questions earlier. from the moment they step foot at the high school in the morning. Now we meet in the morning at 6 a.m. at Windsor Locks High School, and they are led via procession from the high school over to the airport to start their day. And it's really their first impact on what this day is going to look like. And they board the buses, and they are led to the airport by the Patriot Guard motorcycles, which is Rolling Thunder.
That's amazing.
Followed by 6 or 7 different fire departments, the state police, the National Guard is in there. Mission Barbecue shows up with their 5 tons.
Oh, wow.
And most of them see all of this going on at the airport, but once they get on the buses, they're kind of in the procession, and many don't realize what's happening until they get to the airport. And we bring in about 100 of the National Guard, the Air and Army National Guard, to help them off the bus and welcome them to their day of honor. And it's kind of a ceremonious. And we go right into the airport to 500 clapping hands with signs and noisemakers and bells, thanking them for their service. So their first impact of the day, their first visual of the day is this experience where the procession shows up at the airport, and there's just madness inside of appreciation and fondness for them and their service.
They are like rock stars coming through and deserve to be the rock stars they have been and currently are, what they've done for our country.
Beyond rock star status, because rock stars aren't heroes.
It's true.
They're good musicians.
You know what? Very well said.
Athletes are good at throwing balls and putting them through hoops, and they should get paid a lot of money if they're putting a lot of people in the seats, but they're not heroes either.
That's right.
Heroes wear fatigues,
That's
BBUs.
Right. I love that. I like that you said that. That's a really good point. Do you have a special story from a veteran or a family that really moved you?
I have a lot of them. I'll share one with you.
Okay. You're sharing one with not only America, but the world. And I mean that sincerely. There are people all over the world who watch this podcast. We have people in Belarus, in Africa, United Kingdom, Australia. There are people, when I say to you, all over the world watching this show on a regular basis. It's crazy. But go ahead, please.
So a few flights ago, we had a gentleman who was a World War II veteran, and he was on Iwo Jima. He's an Iwo Jima survivor. And he was coming down on the elevator of the bus, and his guardian was going down off the front of the bus. So I decided to roll him over to Marine Memorial, to Iwo Jima. And as we're rolling over, there's 3 Marines and a photographer at Marine Memorial in a little ceremony and it turned out to be a promotion ceremony. And we stumbled upon them, and I said to them, we don't mean to interrupt. I have an Iwo Jima survivor here from World War II.
Wow.
They stopped what they were doing. They came over. They were so gracious. They shook hands. They thanked him. And the captain who was being promoted said, I never dreamed when I left my office at the Pentagon this morning I would meet a Iwo Jima survivor and a World War II veteran. So long story short, we go back, and unfortunately about 7 to 10 days after the trip, Mr. D passed away. He was from Glastonbury, Connecticut. About a week after that, I open up my email and I have some pictures in there from the photographer that we saw at Marine Memorial that day when we were in D.C.
Wow.
Virginia in this case. She said, here's some pictures from the promotion ceremony that we were fortunate enough to meet you at. Would you please pass these on to Mr. D's family? I replied back, I regret to inform you that Mr. D passed away, but I'd be happy to share with his next of kin. Thank you so much for sending. And we shut down communication. And about a week later, I get an email from the captain who was there being promoted, the Marine in dress blues, contacted me and said, I was so upset to hear about Mr. D's passing. Would you please share next of kin contact information? I would like to send a gift on behalf of the USMC to his family.
That is pretty deep stuff right there.
It's wild.
I mean, that's you know what? There's a level of love and connection and respect that is held between military branches because of each one know what their value is and has been. God, in the tissues. Sorry, my eyes are all filled up over here. The level of support, the level of relationship and trust, and I'm just like, that's just amazing.
It's beyond fraternity and sorority.
That's-
It's brothers in arms, sisters in arms,
Yeah.
and even beyond branch. I'm a civilian. You're a civilian, and I happen to have a platform and a voice where I can share, and our team can raise funds and do this to show the appreciation and the level of respect that we have. But we'll never get it. We'll never be a part of the brotherhood and the sisterhood. All we can do is do what we do to let you know that we appreciate it, and from a civilian, repeatedly throughout the course of the day, say thank you.
And I'm sorry.
I was just going to say our bar. I talked earlier about the procession coming into the airport. That's the first kind of level of appreciation, and it's the first impact of the day. And then our job on my team is never let down from there. You just got to keep raising the bar throughout the course of the day, and there's surprises all along the way. And I'll only share a little bit about what we do, because those of you who haven't been on the flight, that are scheduled to be on the flight or waiting in the wings to be on the flight, I don't want to ruin it all, but never let your guard down. Never let that emotion and that appreciation and the enthusiasm that we start with at 7 o'clock in the morning subside throughout the course of the day.
You're going to be jacked all day long in this whole trip.
Adrenaline gets you through.
Yeah. I mean, the emotional side of it, though, I just think about the emotion. For me, I'm a very sensitive person. Just talking about a story of one and seeing you've got 100 people plus on this trip, looking in their eyes, feeling their soul and their emotion, and watching them, being a part of something so special to help them get an experience like this because of all the donations and people who really value our military and what they've done for this country is so deep. And you get to be a part. You get to be a part of something and give back. You are probably the closest person to have that feeling in that experience next to the people who served. Just to feel that. I don't know how I would be crying the whole day, for sure. I'd be excited and laughing in one part and then crying. I'd be like, by the end of the day, like the emotional roller coaster, I can't even imagine what that's like.
It is. It's tremendous, and it's impactful. And my favorite question of the day, and it normally happens when we land in the nation's capital, and as we're taxiing from the runway over to the tarmac, we go through a water cannon salute on both sides of the plane. So the local fire departments from the airport are there shooting water at our planes. And that's normally when the first question comes: is this for us?
Right.
Heck yeah, it's for you.
and what goes into you and your team to make this happen? And for the people on the other side who are all about this whole experience for these people, from beginning to end, it is just as important the people involved in making this happen on the other side in DC, knowing you're coming and making sure that those people who come and enjoy that experience and feel it in their hearts and their minds and their soul, like this is something very special. It's unbelievable. Like just mind blowing.
And it's a lot. Logistically, it's a lot. There's a lot to plan. There's a lot to do. It's not easy moving 135 people on 3 buses around the nation's capital through traffic and congestion.
And coordinating all the things that you're talking about happening from just a plane arriving.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I won't lie, what our team goes through is a lot. It takes a lot to plan this. With that said, nothing in comparison to what our honorees went through to earn this day and to deserve this day.
Amen.
And we are privileged, and we're fortunate to do what we do, and we certainly, we're lucky to have the platform we have to do it, and we love doing it.
Yeah, I'm very touched and very proud to have you on the show, to have this ability to talk about with what you do, what you provide, you and your team of people, not only here in Connecticut, but in DC as a whole, what you plan and how to make this all happen. Just try to plan a vacation with kids. Just going on vacation with kids, and how many things you're talking about 100+ people who are military vets that are from their mid 80s to 100 years old, going through all these different pieces of the puzzle for them, from their emotional side to their physical side to the planning of the whole, making sure they're eating and drinking and able to get through. I mean, there's a lot going on here that you haven't even talked about in this whole process. These are just pieces of it.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. How can people in Connecticut support Honor Flight?
It's a great question. There's really only two things we need to keep Honor Flight Connecticut going, and that's veterans and money. So to the extent that you know somebody who served in one of these conflicts, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, send them our way. We'll do the selling. We'll tell them the why and what it entails. And to the extent that you're in a financial position where you can appreciate the efforts of these folks and want to make a monetary donation, every dollar matters, every dollar counts, and every dollar will go towards our.
Make sure I don't miss anything. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, no, every dollar we raise will go towards providing this experience for more and more veterans for as long as we can do it.
And just again, where they can go to the website, please, again, to do the donation, get in touch with you and your team, please.
honorflightct.org, and there's application tabs on there, there's donation tab on there, and our phone number's on there, as well as our email. So if you have questions that we can answer, we're happy to do so.
Financial, time, and awareness.
And the third leg of that stool is show up and support these folks and show up and show some enthusiasm. Our next flight, September 27th, we start in the airport at 7 a.m. with a send-off ceremony for them. That's when the procession arrives from the high school I mentioned earlier. We have a soft goal of 500 people in the airport that morning, and sometimes we fall a little short of that. Sometimes we go a little over that. But to the extent you appreciate the efforts of these folks who have done so much for us in our freedoms, and you want to relay that appreciation, bring signs, bring noisemakers, show up and welcome them to the airport in their day of honor and echo our sentiments towards them.
What does honoring veterans in this way mean for future generations? And that, to me, is a huge one.
That's
What are we teaching our kids? What are they learning in school? What are you out there making sure your kids know about when it comes to veterans?
So I start the day in the airport at that send-off ceremony with a brief ceremony from a podium where I speak a little bit, and I urge all of our veterans to talk to each other, talk to the organizers, talk to us, share your stories, and you'll see how this ties in with the kids and the next generations. I tell them textbooks don't exist anymore. And they really don't. If you go into the schools, textbooks don't exist. Encyclopedias don't exist. It's the internet, but you've got to search for it. So tell us stories. And my commitment to our veterans that travel with us on the flight is every story you tell me, I'll tell to an elementary school on Veterans Day when I'm speaking. When I'm telling them that LeBron James is a great basketball player, but he's not a hero, nor was Tom Brady or Taylor Swift. They're phenomenal at what they do, and maybe they deserve every dollar they make. Maybe they don't. I don't know. That's not for me to chime in on. But they're not heroes. I said earlier, heroes wear fatigues, camo, BDUs. Every story somebody in that uniform tells me, I promise to share with a youngster. So we keep these stories going from generation to generation, because if they don't tell their story, nobody else will.
That's right. And you know what it is? It's something where it's on an intimate level, very personable. It doesn't have to be something that is a long story, but a direct story for people to understand who these people are, what they've done, how important they are to our history, our country, to our families. This is so important. When there's a Veterans Day parade, when there's a Veterans Day, anything to do with veterans, it's something that should be held to the highest degree of importance and appreciation. It is something that is reminding you what a veteran is. And veterans come in all walks of life, and they come from all over. You can look at X person and you would never know that that person was a veteran until they tell you, or you can see some kind of fatigue or a medal or something along those lines. And a lot of people who are veterans, they're very quiet about that stuff, I also notice. They're not outspoken people talking about themselves. They're generally a little bit more introverting in the sense that they don't like talking about it sometimes. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Very true. A lot of folks don't share and they don't talk. And many we find don't want to bring a guardian or a grandkid or a companion with them on the flight because they don't know how they're going to react when we get to the
That's right.
memorials. And they don't, they're too macho. I don't want anybody to see me cry. So I
Right.
don't want to bring my next generation or my grandkids. But we say on the trip, it's okay. This is going to be an emotional roller coaster, and when we get off the plane at 11:30 at night that night, and everybody's tired as can be, and it's been a long day, and we processed a lot, and we worked through a lot emotionally. Sometimes it hits you on the way home,
Right.
and you start recapping what went on. But that's okay because. Back in 1973, when we flew the last of our combat troops out of Vietnam, March of '73, they didn't come back to the support and the emotional and the mental support that we have in place today for PTSD and processing some of the emotions. And the resources weren't available for them. So what do? They push it down. They suppress it for generations and decades. And that's not healthy either. So I don't want to make it sound like we're psychiatrists because we're not, but let's get together and share and talk. And you know what, if we spend some time at the Vietnam Wall and some tears come out, it's okay.
Right.
It's okay. The toughest of the tough need to process it.
Absolutely. What message would you want to give young people listening about gratitude, service, and sacrifice? And I think we've already talked about this basically. Is to understand, to remember and feel, and to know about the history of this country, what our veterans have done, the wars they fought.
Shake their hand, look them in the eye,
And say thank you.
and say thank you for your service. And you'd be surprised how long that goes. Veterans of those conflicts, Vietnam, Korea, and World War II, which the population is 70 and up, love kids. They love to hear it from young kids. And when an 8-year-old kid walks up to a World War II veteran at the World War II Memorial, shakes his hand and says, "Thank you for your service." That's what hits me here. That's what, that's somewhere parenting done right because that kid gets it. And so if you're a youngster listening to this and, what can you do? Look them in the eye, put down your cell phone for a second, shake their hand and say, "Thank you for your service. Thank you for all you did for this country."
When you look at these veterans' faces on the trips, what does it mean to you personally? It's got to be fulfillment. It's got to be powerful. It's got to be something so strong that keeps you doing this. It's got to be, what is it?
It's fuel.
It's fuel.
It's fuel. It's obsession. It really is. It's when you get the thank you notes afterwards from the veterans, and you get we've got a gentleman up in West Hartford who heard our story, never been on a flight, never been to the airport, just heard our story, loves what we do, sends us his required minimum distribution from his IRA every year.
That's amazing.
That's how this has impacted him. And some can afford to do that, some can't, but it's so fulfilling to know that we're making, whether it's big, small, or somewhere in between, making a difference for these folks is what fuels us.
You're touching lives. You're making a difference. You're making sure that those who've taken care of us, to give even this little bit back to them, because they haven't had this before. It's just amazing. Dan, thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for your family being a part of it, because I'm sure as much as this is you have your family behind you because you're so involved. They're so involved. This is a very, very, it's a lot. It's a lot that you take on. And I just want to say thank you for making a difference in this state, in this country, in this world for our veterans, because it really, really is something that very few people can say they've ever been a part of. And it's just amazing. It's really a beautiful thing. And thank you, buddy.
Well, I'm going to reciprocate by saying thank you for hosting us today and allowing us the platform to tell our story. And again, this not about me, not about our team, not about my family. It's about the veterans, and we all work very hard. But like I said earlier, nothing in comparison to what the fine folks that we honor every flight went through, or how hard they worked for everything we experienced today.
Everybody out there who's watching and listening, please share this podcast. It was a little bit intimate, a little deep, but very important. If you are looking to help this amazing organization, please get in touch with Dan. Please show your support, show your love, share this with others, and go to his page on Facebook, on Instagram, Honor Flight CT. All right.
That's right.
And then website is
honorflightct.org.
honorflightct.org. Go to the website and be a part of something special.
And if you have nothing going on the morning of September 27th, Bradley International lower level baggage claim, door 5. We're going to put a party together, and we're going to celebrate some folks who deserve to be celebrated. And I'll end where I started. To everybody who has served, to everybody who will serve, to everybody currently serving and those deployed, thank you.
Amen.
We owe everything to you, and we won't stop until every last one of you knows how much appreciation there is behind back home here in the United States of America, the greatest states in the world. And we appreciate your sacrifice and your service.
Thank you for all of you who serve our country continuously, your strength, your heart, your soul, your bravery. Thank you for our freedom, and thank you for being a part of what makes America great. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate
You're awesome, man. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much again. Make sure to share this and like and subscribe. Get in touch with Dan. Honor Flight CT. Awesome stuff. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. All right. I'm going to just hit this over here. I'm going to hit this over here. Oh, my goodness, my friend. I was keeping it together. I just fell apart a couple of times.
Did it go as you hoped?
It was perfect. It was intimate. It was emotional. It was powerful. It was deep. It was everything it needed to be. I thought I was gonna have snot come down my nose over here. Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. All right, let me just first. I'm gonna do is I'm going to tag you here. Give me 1 second. At Dan Sparks, and then at. Oh
I want to see if.
Save that right there.